Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the prize picks board for this two-game NBA slate. Let's go ahead and get started. As always, you can hit the like button if you enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to get signed up on prize picks, use my code PROCESS and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. And let's go ahead and get started. So looking at the points board today, it's always interesting to see what they have the line set in the first couple of games in the series. We know that playoffs, teams are going to make adjustments, but for these superstars, they're going to play their heavy minutes. Just a matter of how the team opponents try to defend them and scheme against them. Giannis is 29.5 on prize picks. The number on sportsbooks is 30.5 at minus 120. Giannis is going to show up in the playoffs. He has done very well. The games that he didn't do great against Chicago, some of these games were blowouts, but in general, he probably could have put up 40 in some of these games that they ended up winning by over 20. Tatum, 28.5. He's also another spot where we can kind of feel good about taking the over. His number is also 30.5 on sportsbooks, at least on FanDuel Sportsbook. So you have two numbers that are lower than the over-under on sportsbooks. Both guys, I think you can feel good about taking the over. Tatum at home at 28.5 is one that I feel good about. Next up, Drew Holiday. It's only 17.5. He struggled a little bit at times during that series, but this number is 2 points less than it is on sportsbooks. It's 19.5 on FanDuel. So we're getting some good numbers to get us started. It'd be interesting to see which ones we kind of focus on, see if there's any better ones. Next up, Jaylen Brown, 21.5. This number is also very low. He's been hitting that pretty easily in all four games against Brooklyn. He hit 21.5. That's going to be the first one that I put in. This number on FanDuel Sportsbooks is 23.5, and that is at minus 116 odds. So we're getting a pretty good number here on Jaylen Brown. Some of the games against, in that first round series against Brooklyn, he didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but he had 9 field goals in all 4 of the games. He's aggressive. If they decide to focus on stopping Tatum, it could open up Brown to play and to play a little bit better and to get some more shots. Next up, we have Brook Lopez. He's at 11 here. His number on FanDuel Sportsbooks is 12.5. So this number is a lot different than the ones we've looked at. I have no confidence in taking the over on Brook Lopez. I also have not much interest in taking the under here. I think it can go either way. Marcus Smart, 13.5. This is one that it's been right around what the sportsbooks have him at. They have him at 14.5, so it's just 1 point less. But the under is a little bit heavily favored there. It's minus 118 for under 14.5 on FanDuel. This one, we know Smart can hit some shots if he's going to get those open looks, but sometimes he looks to facilitate. So that's one that I'm going to stay away from. Another one that I really like is Bobby Portis, over 12.5 points here. It's at 13.5 on FanDuel Sportsbook. Bobby Portis, since he's been starting, basically since the 22nd when we got no Chris Middleton, Portis started to play a lot better, getting those minutes starting, even though he started alongside Giannis and Brook Lopez. It's been kind of Brook Lopez who's taken the cut in terms of production, whereas Giannis has looked the same. Portis has looked even better. 12.5, very good number. Take the over on Bobby Portis. You can also take the over on his fantasy score, which we will get to. Then we have Al Horford, 9.5. It's a decent number for Horford. It's just interesting to see what route they decide to go with Robert Williams. If they're going to be starting Williams, it could make it a little bit different for Horford. He might get a couple less minutes here. So for that reason, I'm going to be definitely not taking the over on Horford, but it's something I also don't feel good about taking the under. Grayson Allen was really raining down threes. He had 5 threes back-to-back games. The 22nd, 24th had a couple threes in the last game. 9.5, fine number. Take the over on his number on FanDuel Sportsbooks at 11.5 is what the over-under is set on. Then we have Grant Williams, not too interested there. I don't mind getting to Pat Connaughton here. 8.5. His number on FanDuel is 7.5, so a little bit less appealing if you're looking to kind of compare the sportsbooks numbers there. I like Curry's over 25.5. He's been great the last few games, raining down threes. The number is very low compared to some of the other superstars on the slate, compared to Giannis's number and compared to Jason Tatum's number. 25.5 for Steph Curry. Feel like that's one that we can feel good about. Looking down here at the next group of guys, some of the ones that look interesting to me would be Desmond Bane, 18.5, Klay Thompson at 20.5, taking the overs on those guys. The next three, I don't never take the over on the points on Draymond. It's just not worth the kind of sweat and the headache that you're going to have to deal with the whole game, basically. Brooks, if he shot the ball like he did last game, this one should be pretty easy for him to hit at 16.5, but he hit 5 out of 6 threes. Going further down, Jaren Jackson, 11.5 is also a pretty good number. He did hit some threes last game, and he was able to stay out of foul trouble, which helped him play some of those minutes, which did end up helping him score the ball well. And that's kind of it for this group of guys. You have Wiggins, 13.5. He's a potential play, not one that I ever feel confident in, especially with Curry back and Curry starting and Poole getting those minutes and Thompson getting those minutes. But the guy I'm going to go ahead and put in here is going to be Steph Curry taking the last over on the points, 25.5. Pretty solid number. It's 2 points less than it is on FanDuel Sportsbook. Looking at the assist board, this one doesn't have too many options. It has basically 10 guys that we can pick from. So looking at the assist boards to get us started with the first game, you have Giannis at 5.5. The number on FanDuel is, the under is -6.5, but it's -144 odds there. You never really know. I mean, Giannis can handle the ball more and facilitate without Chris Middleton, which you probably would expect, but it also can go to Jrue Holiday, who I do like taking maybe the over on his assist. It's right around the number. It's over 6.5 on FanDuel, which is -144 odds. Then we have Tatum, 5.5. It's going to be something that you're probably going to be right around that number. If he's playing really well, he can get you like those, flirt with those double-digit assists. Jaylen Brown, 4 assists. It's a whole number, so probably looking at a situation where it could be a push, or he could hit this by 1 or could miss by 1. One that I don't feel good about. I mean, I don't feel confident in either one of those numbers. Smart has been handling the ball, facilitating at a pretty good clip, but 6.5 is also a high number for him. You're going to need at least 7 to hit that number. Going further down here, we have Draymond, 6.5 assists. He, playing with Curry now in the first unit, going to be more assist opportunities for Draymond, but it's also a number where 6.5 is probably where he should be. Jaren Jackson, if you want to sweat 1 assist from him, that's something you could go with. And the last guy is Jordan Poole, 4.5 assists. That's not one that I'm going to feel good about taking the over. Maybe the under would be something that you can consider, just because less time handling the ball now with Curry starting and Draymond still starting in that first unit. Moving on to the rebounding board, we have a couple that look appealing. We have Giannis at 12.5. I'll take the over on that if I had a pick. He's going to be crashing glass, playing those heavy minutes. Next guy is Jason Tatum, 6.5. I like the over on Tatum as well. Even though he hasn't hit that recently in this series, going up against the big Bucks team last series against Brooklyn. They were starting very small with Drummond, and then they ended up last game playing Claxton at the center. They were small at times with Kevin Durant at the 5. It's not going to be the case against Milwaukee. You're going to have lineups with Giannis out there, and then with starting with Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis, but it can also switch if they decide to change it up in this series and maybe not start all 3 of those guys, but you're still going to have Giannis with one of Portis and Lopez out there for a lot of the game. So you're going to have to rely on other guys to rebound the ball, like Tatum. We have Jrue Holiday, 4.5. That's the exact number that they have on FanDuel with -110 odds. One that I'm going to stick away from. Brook Lopez, 4.5 rebounds. He has 5 last few games, but it's going to be interesting to see which route to go. If he's starting, maybe take the over, but he's going to be right around that number, so it's probably one that you're going to be sweating a lot. Portis, on the other hand, has been crashing the glass, getting you a lot of rebounds, 17, 16 rebounds. 2 out of the last 3 games. He's one that you can feel good about taking the over there, but I have the over on his points, so I'm not going to be able to take the over on his rebounds. Other options for us that look appealing, I mean, that's kind of it. I don't have anybody that I feel great about. Moving on to the fantasy scoreboard, this one looks solid. We have some guys that I feel very good about. I like Marcus Smart over 30 fantasy. Has opportunities to get you over 40 and not really sweat that number either. I like Tatum over 46 fantasy score as well. He's going to be scoring the ball, looking to probably facilitate and get his teammates involved and still get you those rebounds. But first guy I'm going to plug in here is one of the Grizzlies guys, and that's a value piece here it's all the way at the bottom. That's Dylan Brooks. Only 24.5 is his fantasy score over under for a guy that will play heavy minutes just defending one of the 3 shooters that they have, Thompson, Poole, Curry, for throughout the game. opportunities to get you some steals. Hopefully he shoots the ball well. Jaren Jackson also a pretty good number at 26. He's a guy that if he's not in foul trouble can hit this easily. Can also, he's very volatile in that situation, and that's in that sense. But the next guy I'm going to go ahead and put in is Klay Thompson. Also like his over 32 fantasy. Low number for Thompson. He was getting you rebounds last game. He can get you some defensive stats, as we saw last game as well. And even though he's going to maybe get some, we saw like Jordan Poole get the cut in shots. Thompson is not going to give up his shots. He loves to shoot, and that's what he's going to continue to do. And this one, it should be more of a higher scoring game than the first game, so I feel good about taking the over on Thompson's fantasy score at 32. Other ones that look somewhat interesting would be definitely Bobby Portis if you're not playing his over points. I do like Marcus Smart, like I mentioned, and that I think you can go either Tatum or Giannis here, but I'd like Tatum at 46 better. And that's it. Those are the 5 that I have on Prize Picks. Using the over-unders on the FanDuel Sportsbook to kind of get some leverage here. Love the over on Jaylen Brown, over points on Bobby Portis, over 25.5 Steph Curry, over 24 fantasy for Brooks, and over 32 fantasy for Klay Thompson. That's what I got for you guys. Best of luck today, and I will see you all next time.